we're going to be talking about at least 20 horrible books. At least in my opinion. So let's do it. Let's get into it. Okay. This is probably really calming. Well, it's calming for me to talk and hold this microphone and just kind of like exist in this space. My cat is sitting right next to me. She's going to take a nap. This is going to be really fun. And let's just do it. I apologize, this video is so late. But like I said, the entire world decided to break down when it was time for me to film a video. But let's do it. Let's read. Let's not read. Let's get into these reads. Okay. The mic is a little bit further away than it just was. I'm getting out my trusty computer and we're gonna go through these insane reads of 2024. The sun is so bright. I can't see my computer screen. I love when that happens. Okay. There's a lot of books. So far, I've read about 60 books this year. But, well, 60. I'll say about 60. I changed my reading goal from 25 to 70. So, we're gonna try to figure out. I might reach the goal. I might not reach the goal. But okay, it's been like 3 minutes. Let's just get into this. Okay. Let's just go to. I'm on my Storygraph. If you want to follow me, I'll put it right here. This is my Storygraph at username, etc. So you should totally come and hang out with me on Storygraph. But yeah, okay. Let's scroll through here and find honorable mentions that I should talk about that weren't good books. First up, we have Mary Ever After by Tessa Bailey. This was a 1.25 star. I talked about this last week. Really, it's only 59 pages long, so it's really not that horrible of a book. But it was just so, like, what is the point? Why are we... I don't think I like Tessa Bailey's writing. This follows a woman who works at, like, a tailoring shop or, like, a thrift shop. And this tall guy keeps coming in to try on clothes. And he can't fit any of them. So she's like, I'm gonna make you some clothes. And then they cannot stop having sex. They cannot stop having sex. It wasn't my favorite. It was kind of disgusting and gross, and not disgusting because it was sex, disgusting because of what it was cringing me out. I was like, Tess, what is this? Tess, please come clean and tell me what this is, because I'm confused. I'm so confused. That's the first honorable mention. The next honorable mention is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Now, this book, I was looking everywhere for this book. Wild Goose Chases, I drove at least 45 minutes to get this book. And it was just plain horrible. This was almost a DNF. Well, it pretty much was a DNF because I didn't finish reading the book. I kind of just skimmed the last 200 pages, and I never skim a book ever. I don't think I've ever skimmed a book and been like, I read that. But because I read like 75%, I was like, okay, I cannot do it. This book is about a girl who goes into the 9 circles of hell, but it's like not really, it's okay, so it's like a touring game where you can win a prize, and it has to do with the 9 circles of hell, so there's 9 matches you can go through, and she goes through it to find her sister or whatever the fuck, I don't know. Unfortunately, she gets help from this like guy, and he just helps her the whole time, so like the whole entire thing is that like they're like life or death, but she has special powers that nobody else has. She also has this man helping her. So it's like, okay, so obviously we're not gonna die. Obviously it's not gonna be like a problem because you have this man helping you through it. And it'd be the shortest little like trials ever. It'd be like 3 pages of trials. I'd be like, okay, so I thought we were about to die. But it's 2 pages long. Whatever. The next honorable mention is Last One at the Wedding by Jason Reculek. Now, this book was my most anticipated of the year. After I read his first book, I was waiting for this book for so long. I adored Hidden Figures. Not Hidden Figures. That's a movie about black women in STEM. Hidden Pictures. I adored that book. It was so good, so fun, so fresh. I loved it. This one was horrible. It's about a woman who's getting married to this very, very rich man, and she hasn't talked to her dad in forever. And then suddenly she reaches back out and he goes to the wedding and he's like, something is off here. But I gave it 3 stars, but the dad was just so rigid and like there was like an adopted kid that was there, but he was being like mean to the adopted kid. It was kind of just like, what is going on? What is this? So it just didn't like it. Did not like it. The next book that I wish I didn't read was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This book was capital H horrible. Just bad. Just bad. This follows a woman who inherits her aunt's pumpkin spice cafe, and it's a small town romance and slash like mystery. Like she has like a problem and this guy's like, I'll help you figure it out. And then they go from being like, I can't talk to him, I'm so scared in a room with him, and then it's like, oh, I need to fuck that girl now, and they just keep having sex. Never stop having sex, actually. Like they just are not good enough. But it's like very wishy-washy because he has like a attachment problem, and then he's like, I love you, then he's like, I can't do this, and he's like, I love you, and he's like, I cannot do this with you, like I can't do it. And it's just like, girl, figure it out. Sorry, I am recovering from a sickness, which is also why this video is late, but whatever. The next book I wish I didn't read is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, since Eric LaRocca. I did not rate this because it was like, what do I rate this? And it's just because this book was really, really odd. I didn't really say much. It was kind of just like weird. And I posted on my TikTok about this. Follow me at Rae's Reads on TikTok if you feel so inclined. But I was like, what is up with like horror and the analogy, not even analogy, the trope of having a tapeworm and being like, oh, this is my kid. This tapeworm, like, why would I get rid of the tapeworm? It's me. The tapeworm is like, tapeworm is my heart and my soul. Sorry, my hair is dripping because it's freshly done. But like, what's up with the tapeworm, and why is it in sapphic relationships? If you guys have anything if you have a reason or you have an idea why this is happening so much, let me know. Yeah, that's Things Have Gotten Worse Since the Last Book. That's about like a woman and another woman who meet on a chat room, and they start this crazy relationship through emails. Okay, the next book I wish I didn't read was Brat by Gabriel Smith. What a horrible little fucking book. It was so bad. The prose is written like he was 8 years old, but you can tell that he can write because Therapy Part 3 was like writing as like a blog, like an ex-girlfriend's blog, and he would use the most beautiful writing and the most beautiful sentences. But like when he was writing the actual book, it was like things like, I went to the store. Oh wait, no, like I went to the store. I was crying in the store. Some lady asked, are you crying? I said, yes, I'm crying. She said, why? I said, I don't know, because I really didn't know why I was crying, but I was. And then I went home. And I'd be like, right. It was also marketed as a horror novel, but nothing was horrific in this at all. Nothing, like I was just confused. Whatever. The next book that I wish I didn't read, that I did read, was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Oh my god. This is the worst book I have maybe ever laid my eyes, my hands, anything, like I ever laid anything on. Worst book ever. It's the sequel to Powerless, and it follows what's supposed to be happening. I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil it, but nothing happened. Like, he would find her, then he would lose her, then she would run, and then he'd come back, and then they'd like find her, be like, I love you, I'll let you go, and just like the whole like, nothing is happening. I was like, something's gonna happen, right? No, absolutely not. Nothing was happening, and I was like, oh, okay, so why is it fuck me for? I bought the book. Why is it fuck me for? I am a consumer of this work of art, and it's absolutely horrible. So that's Reckless. Do not read that book. I finished it because I loved Powerless. I gave it 5 stars. I don't know why I give Reckless 2 stars. It needs to be like a 0.5. That was so horrible. Like, I just cannot believe. Whatever. The next book I wish I didn't read was Almost Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. Oh my god, the book is so bad. It looks so cool. It's that VHS looking book that came out in the summertime, in June, I think, or May. I don't know, one of the months. But it's about these passes away, and they find, while they're cleaning up the house, they find a VHS tape and they put it in, and it shows their parents committing a murder. Or so it seems. And that's like, oh, okay, let's get into it. No, we don't want to get into that. Put it down. Nobody wants to get into that. It's horrible. Absolutely atrocious. It is just like nothing happened the whole time, and then when something happened, the story was over. Like, it was like the whole, like 95% of the book was just like built up. Not even like a climax, and then the last 5% was the climax and the finale, and then it was over. And it's like, oh, okay. And the way she wrote was like way too, like, she was trying to be flowery, but it was very much like, I take a deep breath in and I smell the fucking air in my fucking lungs. Well, she did not say that. Let me try again. She was like, the grass was green like peppermint tea. And my mom used to make the tea, and then I'd eat the tea, and then it's just, I'm back to my childhood when I step outside. And then she's like, and then I grab for the door, and I know it's just a little bit cold and a little bit warm and a little bit, I don't know. And then I open the door and the breeze hits me in the face like a gust of love from a father I never had. Like, it's like, okay, we understand. Just say, I went outside, I opened the door, and the wind was cold. Boom. Boom. It was very much tell, not show. And I hate that. Like, show, not tell is like, you trust your reader to be a little bit smart, but she was just like telling us every single thing. And I was like, girl, enough. I'm done. I'm over it. The next book I wish I didn't read in the year 2024 is Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. This book was honestly fine. It was just very boring. The only reason I finished it was because I read it on the train to Chicago, and that's 4 hours of my time where I just have nothing to do. So I just finished it because it's only 200 pages. It's about a robot named Annie, and she is a live-in maid / girlfriend to this man, but the thing is, she's a robot and he owns her. So it kind of just talks about like womanism, that's not a thing, feminism and womanhood, and feeling owned and feeling like you can't do all these things because there's like outside pressures and being smarter than you're allowed to be, basically. The idea was great, but it was just not good to read. Sorry, once again, my hair is dripping. Okay, the next book I wish I didn't read is Loki Magnolia Parks. I'm gonna say Magnolia Parks. It's 500 pages of just, he fucking cheats on her. She's like, why would you do that? He's like, I'm sorry. They kiss, they fuck even. Then she's like, we're actually so back. And then he cheats on her. She's like, why the fuck would you do that? He's like, I'm sorry. They kiss, they fuck. Then she's like, we're so back. It's just that. People say it's like Gossip Girl because it's about two socialites in London in their dating life. And so poor. Not poor because they're rich, but the book was just a poor experience. I did not enjoy it. The book was so cute, which is why I read it, but it wasn't good. The next book I wish I didn't read, I Love Being Hateful. If you have any books you wish you didn't read in the year of 2024, please leave them down below. I love talking about things that everybody hates because I love hating things, and not like a mean way, like I love to hate, but no, like I just like to have a strong opinion. Anyway, the next book I wish I didn't read was Darling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is about a girl in this sentient house that like, the house is calling to her. She's like, why am I so drawn to this house? She goes and starts working for the people at the house. This like man who is just like a recluse and nobody knows about them and everybody's scared of them, but she's like, you're actually cunt, and they start dating. And there's so much more going on. But it felt like I was on Adderall when I was reading this book. It was very much like there was no emotion there. I was kind of just like, okay. I didn't give a fuck about the characters. I didn't give a fuck about the lore. I didn't give a fuck. Like, I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck, and that could be my fault. That could be my bad. But like, I just didn't give a fuck. But I was so excited for the book. Anyway, the next book I wish I didn't read was The Memory Police by Yoko Agawa. This is about a place where memories vanish and like things stop existing. And if you don't forget the things like everybody else forgets the things, and you're haunted by the memory police. So basically, we're following this writer who's storing her editor in her basement because he is a rememberer. And it sounds fun. It's like, oh my god, okay, like that's exciting. No, absolutely not. Actually, one of the most boring books I've ever read. It was so boring, and that was sad. And it could be because it was translated, and you could have lost some of the stuff in translation. But it was just not a good book. It was a good book, but it was not for me. I'll say that much. Okay, next book I wish I didn't read was, do I have any more? Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. Oh my god. This book is so just really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. The cover, stunning. Absolutely stunning. I love it. I absolutely love it. But it's about a late. Oh my god, my cat sees a squirrel. Hopefully she doesn't start doing anything crazy. It was about a girl who is dating this man who isn't treating her right, and she's like noticing that, and like it follows just that. It's like a slice of life book. But I almost couldn't finish it. I stopped picking it up. But the funny thing is, the pages would be like not even full of words. The chapters would be like maybe one word long sometimes, and it's like, girl, you could have just finished that. Obviously, I couldn't. So, yeah, I didn't like it. Oh my god, Eileen by Atisha Moshfegh. Please free me. Is it Moshfegh? I don't know. Moshfegh. Whatever. So boring. Our main character, Eileen, is the grossest girl I've ever met in my life. And the book is just nothingness. She works at a penitentiary, young adult young adult prison. And she meets this new coworker, and she's obsessed with her. And it just follows that, and it was just so boring, and I hated it so much, and I don't think I could ever be like, wow, that's a good book, because it was a bad book. But I feel like Otessa always makes me feel that way. I feel like I've never really read an Otessa book where I was like, okay, I'm fucking with this heavy. So, do with that what you will. The next book I wish I didn't read was The Employees by Olga Raven. Now this book is 126 pages long. The pages are maximum half full. There was like 1 or 2 pages where the actual page was full. And it was just really, 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 like, I'll tell you this. I was in a public coffee shop reading this book. It took me an hour. Very quick book. I gave it 1 star. But I was sitting in a coffee shop at like noon, and I fell asleep in the coffee shop reading this book. I fell asleep in public reading this horrible, terrible book. It's not horrible, terrible. Again, this is just my opinion, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, girl, I can't be the only one. Like, I can't be the only one. The next book. This is a 0.5 star. Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Oh my god. This is the most disgusting book ever. I bought it because the cover was pretty, and I bought this in 2023. Like, summertime. And I was like, oh, I wasn't really reading that much back then, but I had started the book and put it down. Because I was like, classics, like, oh, it's a classic, and it's a pretty cover, and Lana Del Rey's favorite book, whatever. So I was going into it with this, like, not romanticized, but this girly step into the door. The back sounded really interesting. I'd never seen the movie. I don't know anything about Lolita. I mean, I knew about it, but not to a certain extent. But I picked up the book, and I stopped reading it a year prior, and then I picked it back up, and it just very, very, very gross. And I will say the plot was at least interesting, but it was so gross that I just who's reading this and being like, oh my god, yeah. Who's reading Lolita and being like, actually best book ever? Unless you're a fucking weirdo. No offense. I just don't really take pedophilia lightly. So I read that, like, I finished it on January 1st, so I guess I read it this year. 2 stars, just, slices of life. But I was bored. So that's really all I gotta say about that one. Okay, now into the actual DNFs of the year. See how that took us 22 minutes and 49 seconds. I told you I had hella books that I didn't like. So I actually only have 8 DNFs, which is kind of kooky crazy because I just read you like 35,000 that should have been DNFs. But we'll go from the beginning of the year. The first book I DNF'd of the year was The Birthday Party by Laurent Mauvigne. This is like it takes place in like 1 or 2 days. It's a thriller. It's about a family who's having a birthday party, but their grandma or the lady who lives next door, I don't know, somebody keeps receiving weird letters. On the night of the birthday party, there's just people outside. Hella bitches just outside. And they're like, what the fuck? So, yeah. I think I only read like 30 pages of this because my eyes were closing. I couldn't, and it was like midday. I was trying to read it and I was like, what the? It was not good for me. It wasn't making any sense. It was switching POVs but not telling you what the POV would be switched to. And I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. The next book was The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. Now, this was published in 1939. I didn't realize it was a classic. It just sounded really good. I have noticed that sometimes classics are written like they're old. If that makes sense. And people are like, it's a book, it's not gonna really sound any different. But no, yeah. I could tell this one was old. And it was making no sense. It was going from one spot to another spot, and I was like, oh, okay. It's about some guy who has to, like a PI, private investigator, who has to solve this, like, I don't know if it's a murder, I don't know if it's like a burglary, I have no idea. But it just wasn't making any sense to me. It was just kind of like, I was just confused. So, yeah. The next one is a soft DNF. This one is, Tender is the Flesh. I kind of just picked it up in the summertime and put it back down, not on purpose, just because I just like picked up a different book and was more interested. I think I started reading God of the Woods. So this is by Augustina Bastarrica, and it's about a man who works at a meatpacking place. But it's like a dystopian world where the food comes from women. I don't know if it's just women or not. I think it's just women. But the women are the cows. And they're not very ethically taken care of. So this follows a man who gets gifted one, I think, or just take care of one, and then it starts realizing that, like, oh my gosh, you kind of are a person. Unless it's the opposite. I don't know because I didn't read the full thing. But I just stopped reading it because the timing wasn't necessarily the right vibe for me. It wasn't bad though. I just started reading it at work and just stopped reading it at work. Next book is Bluebeard's Castle by Anna Billard. Now this follows a woman. It's basically the run-of-the-mill Bluebeard tale. And this is one of the only, not the one of the only, but one of those like stories, like the Bluebeard story. I've seen that over and over again countless times, done differently in horror. Like it's one of those things where you read it and then you see its influence all the time. Because I just finally read it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, so Bluebeard's Castle by Anna Billard. This is about a woman who meets this man and he takes her home and they get married and they have so much sex and she's loving it. But then she's like, it's hurting her. And then he starts getting abusive, I think. I don't know. I didn't finish it. I didn't finish this one because once again, falling asleep, the writing style was not for me. It was kind of just very bland and very bleak. But not, well, it was bleak in subject matter too, but it was just bleak and like, it wasn't giving me anything special. The next book I DNF'd was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I tried to read this book. It was so pretty. This is about a woman who has special powers. She's a maid in like like the Spanish Revolution, Spanish something, and she has secret powers, and then she accidentally shows her owner lady, and then her owner lady starts showing her off, and then she gets once again, it just wasn't giving me anything. What did I say about it? I just said, my god, DNF. It just wasn't for me. I don't know. It just wasn't my fave. And I didn't love it. It was boring me. Once again, you know how that goes. I don't do well when I'm bored. The next book is also a soft DNF. It was My Last Innocent Year by Daisy Alpert Florin. This was just a soft one. I didn't like fully DNF it. The vibes weren't right. It was about like winter at Yale and it was summer in Ohio. So like it wasn't really the vibes. This follows a woman who gets sexually assaulted by a friend of hers while she's at school, and how she kind of deals with like calling out this man and what happens to her after she does said things. So yeah, it's pretty good. I was halfway through it. I just put it down and picked up something else, but I will get back to it when I get a chance, probably over the winter break, maybe. The next one I DNF'd was Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara, sorry. I picked this one up because it was about a lady. So it opens with like a murder. Like the murder happens. This is on the back too, this isn't a spoiler. Someone comes out of the attic and kills this lady. Then we hop to the present. It's the lady who hides a friend, and we see her daughter. We see a TikTok of the inside of their house. Somebody's hopping out of their attic and walking around their house. And the daughter is like, Mom, there's someone in our house. And the mom is like, girl, no, there's not. You're crazy. Just stop posting TikToks. And then the son is like, Mom, will the man look at me tonight? And she's like, there is no man. And it just goes back and forth, like denying that there's anything going on in their house. And then I'm guessing they all fucking die. I don't fucking know. But she doesn't go to the police. She doesn't do anything. And she just kind of sits there and lets the shit happen. And that was pissing me off, so I put it down. The next book that I read was Astral Season, Beastly Season. And this is my most recent DNF. It just wasn't for me. It's about two boys and their favorite idol. This is a translated fiction, but two boys and their favorite idol commits a murder. They're like, it couldn't be you, so they decide to commit murders to make it seem like it wasn't her. And I just didn't like it. I feel like it may have been. I was very confused. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I wasn't sure if the time frames, the time jumps was going on. I don't know. I had no idea. So I just kind of put it down. It's very short, and I wish I could have finished it. It was like I was reading very, very slow. My foot is numb. Hold on. We're gonna sit like this for the rest of it because my foot is numb. Yeah, so this one, it just wasn't making any sense to me, and I was confused. So I put it down, because one thing about me, and I've said this before, if I don't like a book, I am not trying to read it. My cat, sorry, she sees a squirrel, I think, out of the window. But, yeah, that's all the books I did not enjoy reading this year, and all the books that I DNF'd. And if you have a book that you hated, or something you DNF'd, let me know. Please tell me, because I love talking about DNFs. It's my favorite thing to talk about, because I like being a hater. Sue me. So, ignore my stomach. That's me. Thank you guys so much for being patient and waiting for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, following me on my socials, everything. My foot is going so numb I had to stop this video. But I love you guys very, very much, and I will see you next week.